Okay. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Today I'm going to talk about practical spirituality. At least that's what I like to call it, because back in the days when I heard people say that we're spirit living a human existence, I'd say, yeah, that makes sense. But it didn't transfer from an interesting idea into daily life. And people would say, well, why are you doing that stuff, Ron? And I'd say, well, because that's what I thought I'd do. Well, you just talked about different stuff at church. It's like, yeah, so? Like, that's spiritual stuff, and, you know, this is my work, or this is my band, or whatever. By the way, it's really cool being a musician, because they always ask you, where are you playing? When you're doing a talk, they say, where are you working? It's like, no, don't do that to me. I'm actually going to have fun doing that, right? Somebody said, how many people were there at your last spiritualist talk? And I said, hundreds. Really? Are they getting that many humans out? Oh no, not that many humans, but they come with all their guides and everybody. Come on. If I'm going to promote myself. So the thing is, you know, it's one of my professors had an expression called the blinding, I forgot it, but it's the idea that all of a sudden it hits you, the obvious hits you. Blinding flash of the obvious. And my first encounter with spiritualism, by the way, was at Alva's Church in Whitby, where before the hymn they used to say, be uplifting. I always like that. But, so this is kind of a bit of a reunion, even though the 2 times I've worked in this place, it's been in the basement. Anyway, that's not important. I'm getting the message. Don't worry, it's all right. So, but all of a sudden it hits you, wait a second now, I'm a spirit living a human existence. Like, what's that all about, right? And as a kid, you know, growing up, they talked about you have a soul. And it's kind of like, yeah, and you have a rusty Chevy and you have, you know, a briefcase that your dad gave you. But over time, you start to figure out that your true self is this magic thing that is your spirit. And I like to quote the Archangel Ariel. There's a book called What is Light Body that was channeled from the Archangel Ariel. I like to call her she because I know angels aren't he's or she's, but it beats it. And one of the things she says is that we are, our spirit is so magnificent, so multidimensional, so capable, that it's really difficult for our human mind to imagine how great thou art, just our spirit. She also says if we encountered our spirit as a human, it would be not unlike going up the tunnel and hitting the white light. And we would think, you know, we hit the divine or whatever all it is, but our spirit alone is enough to cause that to happen. So from a practical point of view, the world is full of limitations and our human self is full of limitations. And of course, you know, the guys I play with, music people, okay, just keep it up, would say that we're all geniuses at something, and we are all geniuses at something, and no, we can't do everything. And so, you know, part of this life is picking apart the stuff that you really can do. And certainly, you know, the gem from business school that I can pass on to you is you only have to be good at one thing. And so grade school and high school kind of teach you that you're supposed to be good at everything, right? Get a good average, you know, and then get a job and go work for some other donkey and help him achieve his dreams. Okay, well that was me then and it's not me now. But the trick is, okay, so one thing, let's pick one thing, auto mechanics. If you're good at auto mechanics, you can pay for everything else, right? Okay? That's kind of it for running yourself on the planet. But you've got this gigantic spirit, and that's who you really are. And this human incarnation is just one of many, probably, that you've had, whether you believe in past lives or not. The Archangel Ariel says you can support 500 human incarnations at once from your one spirit, right? this guy's like a billionaire. You know? And so even if you think of this only being the only life, that's okay. You know, when you run into a soulmate or you run into somebody that you really kind of click with, they could very easily come from the same exact spirit from this model. So what's that got to do with anything? Well, practical spirituality for me is the idea that an ordinary human, and I look at myself as being an ordinary human because if you put all my qualities on a graphic equalizer, the average would probably be below the middle. But I'm really good at some things. And I also think I'm really good at some things, which is kind of the overinflated ego, but I also think I'm lousy at some things and I'm pretty good at it. So what do I know? I really need other people to tell me what I'm good at. That's how you get by with a little help from your friends. It's also what Marianne Williamson talks about when she talks about the difference between arrogance and humility. So she puts it like this. You know, you're going along living your life, you know, singing your same song, and all of a sudden some group comes to you and says, you know, we've been looking around for somebody who could help us with this, and we've noticed that you're better at it than any of us. In fact, you're the only person on the planet that we can think of that could do this better than the average bear, and we could really use your help with this. Now here's where you get to think about whether you're going to react or respond. If your response is sort of a knee-jerk thing that says, oh no, I couldn't do that, that's pretty much false humility. You're obviously capable of it because all these other people wouldn't have observed that you're really good at it or maybe the best at what available. But to say, oh no, I don't think I could do that, is kind of human arrogance. Or alternatively, if you really want to underline this, it's your human ego saying, God gave me all these incredible talents, but no, my ego's going to trump that and say, no, I couldn't possibly do it. See how arrogant that is? I'm not talking about you guys, I'm talking about me. Okay, just saying. I know you've never done this. But the flip side of that would be to say, holy cow, I'm scared to death, I can't imagine doing that. And every time I say holy cow, I think of a good friend of mine who's passed away, who used to say, yes, it comes from the Sanskrit, holy cow. It's a joke, okay, that's not true. But you say to them, look, you know, you're scaring me here. I don't know if I really can do this. I'm kind of, my human self is shaking in my boots. But if you think I can help you out, right? If you think I can join the Tonight Show orchestra, it's that kind of thing, right? Really? I mean, in there? Holy cow. Holy cow. So then you accept their offer because they've recognized something in you. Now all of us go around, you know, this planet searching for recognition. I see it every day on the highway, you know, women putting their makeup on at 120 kilometers an hour. Why are they doing that? Well, because they want to present themselves when they get to wherever they're going. You know, the accident scene, they want the paramedics to see a really good-looking sharp babe, right? I don't know any of this. But we all, you don't go out, you know, to something important and not try to present yourself in the best possible way. That's okay, right? That's fine. That's honoring your spirit too, because you know you're showing up, right? And you're doing what you're here to do. So how does this get to be practical? Well, let's talk about the order of events here. You got this amazing spirit, okay? And as a human, we're constantly underestimating ourselves. Who's that? Is that our human self? No. If I cut myself, I do bleed, just like all the other leaders have said that. But I've got these capabilities that I sometimes don't recognize or diminish or say, oh, gee, you know, having a tough time breathing in this dusty drywall environment, I'm not sure I can do this. And every time you catch yourself doing that, you got to say, no. If I can, then I can. Even if I don't believe I can. In fact, one of the guys I used to work with used to say, I asked him how he got to be so successful because frankly I thought he was a bit of a Neanderthal. And who cares what I think, right? But the bottom line was that he cared about everybody who worked for him, and he was extremely good at what I'll call player personnel work, which is he could identify who was good at what, and he put them in those positions. Fantastic. If the guy can throw the ball, make him your quarterback, right? That kind of deal. But his answer to me was that he said, a short, history of his life, and then he said, I never really believed in myself, but I took a lot of comfort in the fact that other people believed in me. And so I believed in them until I believed in myself. Yeah, like that, right? I said, so Gary, did you believe in God? And he says, well, I think so. But he says, if other people who are spiritual believe in me, then they must be getting that from a source other than just their human thinking, because some of them can't do math. Yeah, that was sort of his bug. And he just sort of ran it right out to that there's this collective impression that I'm capable of something. And so it's about time I step up and understand it. Now, why am I harping on this? Because my mother would say, you've already gone along 3 minutes on this run. But, but the idea is that as humans, we bail out more than we step up or get into the game or whatever, get up to bat, whatever analogy you want to use. And, my father would say if you put a buck away every day, right? Well, I'm way over 20,000 days on the planet. So you can imagine with compound interest, I probably have well over $250,000 sitting in a little buck a day account, right? But it applies to everything. If you go an inch a day, that's 365 inches a year. That doesn't seem like much, right? But it's a heck of a long way if you're painting the wall, So you can pay attention to those little things. I'm reading a book right now called The Slight Edge by Jeff Olson, which I strongly recommend. And he talks about it being the difference between the little insignificant things that add up, inch a day, versus those decisions you make to say, oh yeah, I could call that person, or I could, submit that resume, or I could do that. It's 13 minutes. I need that. But, I'm not going to, I'm too tired, I'm too old, I'm too young, I'm too fat, I'm too skinny. I say, that's enough, honey. Thanks. Whatever excuse you want to use, it ends up being an excuse. So let's talk about dreaming just for a second here. At 65, I know more people who have abandoned their dreams than I know people who are living their dreams or attempting to live their dreams. And why is that? Because they've allowed evidence or results to cause them to stop expanding. They've said, well, I could go to the grocery store for a loaf of bread, but my lumbago's acting up. So whatever lumbago is, you used to take Geritol for that. I guess that's gone now. They have more elaborate drugs, so they need more elaborate problems. But the practical spirituality idea is that you're an ordinary human, but you can accomplish extraordinary things because you have an extraordinary spirit, and you don't have to do extraordinary things to get extraordinary results. Is that too many words? The bottom line is, dream. Don't dream like the age that you are. Dream like you used to dream when you were covered in mud at 5 years old, in your new clothes, having a blast. And just imagining who you could be. For the hockey players, it's I'm Wayne Gretzky, and it's the 7th game of the infinitely long Stanley Cup playoffs, or or if you're a baseball player, it's the bottom of the 9th World Series, Game 7, all that stuff, right? Remember doing that stuff, right? I used to love the sandbox because I used to, honest to God, even in my teens, I used to love the sandbox because I got rid of humans for a while. It was sort of my meditation. I don't know what meditation was, but that's what I did. So I'm going to encourage you to start making lists. Now, I don't make lists for guilt, and I don't make lists to put pressure on myself, but I make lists so that when I get an inspirational thought, like somebody said, You should do voice work, Ron. And I said, why? And then I listened to some recordings of my voice, and it doesn't sound the same as in this barrel up here. It sounds quite different. What I hear when I talk to you, I'm glad you don't get it. I'm glad you get what I hear when I hear my recordings. But when that comes to me, it goes on one of my lists. And Esther Hicks there, the Abraham Hicks group, she taught me to make a list of things I don't want, and then quickly flash it over to a list that I do want. And this applies to, you know, the old joke about asking the devil for something that you want, you know, and you get what you asked for, but it was like not a complete package. Make a list of what you want, you know? And if you catch yourself saying, oh, I'm not worthy of that. Well, like, have you met anybody who has what you want, who you think is worthy? Yeah, no. They just did some stuff, okay? So the closer is, if it's people, I've actually had coffee with guys I graduated high school with. It's over 40 years ago, believe that or not. Yeah, I look so young and trim. Short for my weight. And they don't remember what we were working on when they remembered that we became friends. They remembered how we treated each other. Don't manage people, right? Treat them the way you want to be treated. Golden rule. But if you want stuff, okay, George Carlin, you have to watch George Carlin about stuff. Whatever stuff you want, it's what you do. It matters not what you know. It matters not what you can do. It matters not what you're capable of doing. It only matters what you do. Go do it. Ask Spirit for help. And that's the closer. How many times have you met a spiritual person and you say, do you meditate? Oh yeah. What do you ask for? Ask? Never thought of asking. You got this gigantic spirit. And by the way, here's a news flash. Free 24 hours. Just this month, okay? Take advantage just this month. Be free next month, but I'm not disclosing that until the 31st. That's a new special coming up. I'm going to thank everybody for listening to me, okay?
Thank you.